Do you feel the vibes?
So for the introduction, we will find local Malay news we took from Sinar Harian, Berita Harian Online, Harian Metro. For local English news, we took from News Straits Times, The Sun and The Sun Daily. For international English news, we took from Al Jazeera, Kyodo News, CNBC, Times of India, Channels News Asia, Camera Times and Pattaya One. For feature story, we took from The Star, News Straits Times, Haraka Daily, Harian Metro, Channels News Asia. So, we have studied the element news between news and feature story. The element news are inverted primary writing style. We know it is about important detail. 5W and 1H, lead as opening paragraph, headline, title of this paper story, sub-headline, picture and caption, byline, which is a line in a newspaper naming, the writer of an article, baseline, quotation, the transcription of what someone has said, masthead. Usually find the masthead on one of the few pages. So the next video we will talk about the differences between news and feature writing.
Okay, now I will talk about differences between news and features. But first of all, we need to know what is news and what is features. The general definition of news is a report on the latest facts or ideas that are true and are important to some audiences through media such as newspapers, radio, television, or online internet media. What is a feature? Okay, a feature is an essay or writing that contains information, comments, descriptions, or storytelling about something that is usually based on real facts. It is not fiction, but focuses on a specific topic. Usually, the results of an article are based on real facts. Now, we see to the differences between news and features on the structures aspect. Okay, first we look at the first title. Okay, on news, the title at the top, all lowercase letters except the base of the phrase, 3 or 4 words, and usually written with a sensation. Okay, differences between features. Okay, the title is at the top, all lowercase letters except the base of the phrase. Under the title, there is the name of the author. Okay, second, which is introduction. Okay, in the news, two things that have in the news, which is place name, and date. Okay, when we see in features, it starts with the elements such as data and proverbs. Okay, the third one is contents. Okay, when we see in news, it starts after the, you can see the signage, right? The sign, right? Okay, and then beginning with an introductory paragraph, clear and interesting. Okay, and the content paragraphs report events in detail. Compared to features, it divided into several paragraphs covering the whole of the terms. Development is done through illustration such as chart and diagrams. A characteristic in conclusion. Okay, when we see in news, it included in news content. Okay, and compared to features, the conclusion is about meet the feelings of the author. Let's look to the differences on common aspect. Okay, we look at the first characteristic. Okay, first is type. Okay, when we look on the news, durable news and hot news. Compared to features, the first one is news articles, non-stall news, human interest feature, and the third one is personal profile features. Okay, the second characteristic is purpose. Okay, we can see on news more to information, and features it more to information and entertainment. Okay, the third one is characteristic on content. If we can look on the news, it more to concise, and the features it on long, literary, and more detailed. Okay, the fourth characteristic is report focus. Okay, so report focus on news, it more to events, compared to features, it more to human interest. Fifth characteristics, okay, is about the nature of writing. If we can look on the news, okay, it more on objective, and compared to features, it more on subjective. Okay, on the sixth characteristic about the difference between news and features is factors. Okay, so news it more influenced, okay, but the features it is not affected. Okay,
now I will explain about the inverted pyramid. The inverted pyramid is the style of writing a news. It also can be the guideline for a reporter to write the news. There are 3 layers in inverted pyramid. Firstly, the most important. This layer usually to write a lead. It will answer the 5W and 1H question. Secondly, the less important. This layer is for expanding the topic about the news. It also can be some quotes or additional facts that related to a news. And the last layer is least important layer. This layer can be the other news that not related anymore to the main news.
Assalamualaikum, and now I would like to explain about the concept of inverted pyramid in this local Malay news from our scrapbook. Overall, the angle of this story were constructed as the type of inverted angle since they were revolved in a series story. So we look at the first one. According to this news, the writers thought to front-load the piece of writing by putting the most important and attention in the beginning of the story to hook the readers. For example, in this Berita Harian news, it begins the lead by explaining what are the person involved, what was happened, where is the place, when it happened, and how was the consequence. Next, the middle stage in the inverted pyramid is the body, which is the crucial information expanding the story. For example, the writer used the direct and indirect quotation to tell the story and enhance the credibility of the news. These are some examples of direct quotation sentences from Haron Metro News. Here, the direct quote is an exact transcription from word to words of what the person said, and always put them within quotation marks. So next, example for indirect quotation from Sinar Harian News. The indirect quotation here are the faithful to the meaning of what the person said, although the words is not exactly the same. And the bottom stage is about the tale. Here, the writers end up the story by putting some extra information that related with the story. The least important information here contains additional info that might be helpful to color the story.
We go through to our topic is about inverted pyramid writing style based on international English news. So, the topic for this news is shares of Samsung Electronics and affiliate rise after chairman's deed. So, type of news is hard news because this news is about business. Next, inverted pyramid writing style has 3 stages. It is most newsworthy info, important details, other general info, background info. Stage 1. Most newsworthy info. Shares of Samsung Electronics and its affiliates mostly rose Monday after Chairman Lee Kun-hee died a day earlier. What? Shares of Samsung Electronics and its affiliates when? Mostly rose Monday. Woo? After Chairman Lee Kun-hee. In this news, the important details is the company announced on Sunday that Lee, 78, died with his family by his side after 6 years in the hospital following a heart attack. After that, for other general info in this news is the senior Lee is credited with turning Samsung into a global technology and industrial powerhouse when he took over in 1987 after his father Lee Byung-chul, the founder of the conglomerate, died. That's all from me, thank you.
Definition of lead. A lead or an intro is the beginning of paragraph for a story. It is the hardest part to write as it sets the tone and introduces the reader to the rest of the story. A good lead paints a vivid picture of the story with a few words. Types of lead. For your information, there are a variety types of lead. Mostly or not all of them are being used in a news company. From our research in our scrapbook, almost all writers start their lead with a type of lead. The similarity between news and features, both have lead, but in news, it shows in brief style, while in features, several sentences are long. In news, many types of lead are used, and in features, anecdotal lead and descriptive lead only.
Okay, now type of headline. First, banner headline. Word printed in extra large letter across the top of the front page of the newspaper. Extremely important story. They are not used frequently, but when they are used, they have a scientific impact. Second, inverted pyramid headline. It concentrate on the presenting the fact first. The most important information goes into the first paragraph, and the less important information follow the very end of the story. Third is cross-line headline. This is the simple type of headline. Consists of the single line and one or most often more column in it. The good criteria of headline. First, using an action adverb. The font in bold, catchy, can interest the reader, and the headline might be in serious or humorous. Okay, we will continue with the sub-headline or sub-heading. First, let me tell you what is meaning sub-headline. Sub-headline is a text placed under the headline, usually with the smaller font, and the function is to expand what the headline says. This is a few examples from the online news that we select that have the sub-headline. So that means not every single news will have a sub-headline under the headline.
So the next element in the newspaper that I will present is photo and caption. These are the example of the photo with the caption. So the function of the photo caption is to tell the readers on what the image and news is all about. In the newspaper media, most of the newspaper only has one picture as a domain picture for one news article. But there are some of the newspaper which have more than 2 pictures or 4 pictures. However, there are also some of the newspaper that do not have any picture, but there are only written words. For the news picture, most of the newspaper have a caption. There are most of it located under the image, but there are some of it located in the corner of the image. Besides that, some of the news picture do not contain any caption with their picture. If you have ever seen a newspaper with no pictures, you will know that it does not look attractive. It does not make you want to read it, doesn't it? Okay, lastly, why all newspapers should use picture? Firstly, to make the page more attractive. Second is to tell the news more clearly. And lastly, the third one is to let readers know what people, place and things look alike.
So I will talk about byline and baseline. Byline is the part of the newspaper article that identifies the author of the byline. So which you can see by this slide. The example of local news in byline is byline appear after the headline of an article but before the deadline. And international news bylines also appear after the picture and caption of an article. Next, in the feature stories, the bylines are unsigned, which means the author remains anonymous. And the local English news bylines also appear after the headline and caption of an article. Then is baseline. Baseline usually started with the city in which the reporter has written the report. City names are usually printed in uppercase. For an example, baseline followed by dash, baseline followed by font in international news, and baseline followed by line like local English news. And the lastly is feature story. Feature not not have this one in the stock.
So next we move to another element, which is masthead. So first we need to know what is a masthead. Masthead is define the title of a newspaper. Magazines also have one. It's usually in big, bold writing for it to easier to read and stands out. More is someone in a rush to buy it. The masthead is a bright color in which it will be easier for people's attention to draw to the paper. It has its own font for it to be unique and known to its own paper. This slide shows a newspaper page, which is inside the red box is the masthead. So we can see that the masthead is clear, bold, big and bold font. So that's all from our group, and thank you for listening.